I'm starting to get seriously concerned about cybersecurity in the post-AI world. I'm not making this video to fearmonger. I'm just trying to get some of my thoughts out and some of my concerns out. And also keep in mind, I hardly know anything about cybersecurity. I do software development, but I've never focused on cybersecurity as my specialty. So hopefully there's someone in the comment section who is a little bit more grounded in reality than me, who can bring up some good points. But what I've been seeing just in the last month has seriously started to concern me. First off, let's talk about Linux. This is a Linux-focused channel, so there's been a rise in DDoS attacks against certain Linux distributions. So back last year in 2025, the AUR was notably DDoSed for several weeks. And no, this wasn't Manjaro pushing a bad update to their software center. This was a DDoS attack against the AUR, the Arch forums, and the main Arch website. I haven't been able to find any motives of a DDoS attack against Arch. However, one DDoS attack that does seem to have motives was a series of DDoS attacks against Ubuntu. So Ubuntu had a DDoS attack that took down the ubuntu.com website, the Snap Store, and Launchpad, as well as a few other canonical-owned services that went offline or became unreliable. And this lasted about a week. Now, this was actually done by a Iraqi terrorist organization. I'm pretty sure I remember reading somewhere that this was in support of Iran in the current conflict going on. And their reasoning for doing it was that they wanted to take down Western infrastructure globally. But even after that DDoS attack, Ubuntu's official Twitter account actually got hacked in order to promote a crypto scam. So while the AUR attack happened in August of 2025 last year, this right here is super recent, with the DDoS attack just ending about last week and the Twitter hack being brand new. Now, all that aside, I want to talk about Project Glasswing. So basically, Anthropic, who they make the Claude AI models, they released a new model called Claude Mythos, which is this brand new model. It has some of the highest AI benchmarks I've ever seen, although you got to take AI benchmarks with a grain of salt. If you've used AI before, you know that a lot of the time the actual experience of using it doesn't match the benchmarks. Despite being a member of the Linux community, I'm not someone who's 100% anti-AI. I see a lot of good uses of AI that aren't slop, but I'm also not 100% pro-AI and delusional. Now, this Mythos preview has already found several different security vulnerabilities. So notably, they found a 27-year-old vulnerability in OpenBSD, which has a reputation as one of the most security-hardened operating systems in the world and is used to run firewalls and other critical infrastructure. OpenBSD takes security so seriously that they maintain projects like LibreSSL, which is a fork of OpenSSL that is supposed to modernize the code base, improve security, and apply best practices. So this is the type of operating system we're dealing with. And even then, Mythos is finding a 27-year-old vulnerability there. Also, a 16-year-old vulnerability in FFmpeg, and the model is able to find and chain together multiple vulnerabilities in the Linux kernel. It does say that all of these vulnerabilities have been patched, but this is just the beginning, as when this came out, there were talks of random Anthropic employees who have no experience of cybersecurity able to find brand new vulnerabilities with Claude Mythos. Now, open source already had this problem where a lot of people were sending AI slop bug reports for vulnerabilities, trying to get bug bounties where they'll get paid for finding bugs. And the creator of curl, Daniel Stenberg, actually has a good article about his difficulties trying to manage all of these AI slop reports in the curl project. But now with Claude Mythos, AI is going to be finding real bugs that aren't just slop bug reports. So now open source maintainers have to go through all of the AI slop that is made with maybe weaker models that aren't made for vulnerability hunting like Claude Mythos is, alongside all of the real ones that can be found now with Claude Mythos. So this is going to add a huge challenge for open source developers who are already having a difficult time managing AI slop. So Anthropic's response to this is their Project Glasswing here. So what they're doing is they're partnering with a bunch of companies: Amazon Web Services, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, Google, Microsoft, the Linux Foundation, a bunch of other companies, and they're giving all of these different companies early access to the Claude Mythos AI so that they can actually go out and find vulnerabilities with it and fix them before Mythos is actually public for everyone. That said, there already has been a situation where there has been unauthorized access to this Mythos AI tool. So according to this BBC article, they investigated a report claiming unauthorized access to the Claude Mythos preview through a third-party vendor environment. So if hackers are able to get access to this tool early before everything is ready and patched from what this tool is able to find, as this has the potential to just be a zero-day generator. Now, this Project Glasswing announcement came in April 7th, so that was just over a month before I'm recording this video. But ever since this has dropped, there's just been a bunch of new vulnerabilities and weird hacks going on that just has me concerned. So last week, we already had to deal with the copy fail Linux exploit. So this was a 732 byte exploit that allowed you to gain unprivileged access to root on every major Linux distribution. So here's a little video demonstration they have right here. As you can see, they run this curl script, and then from that curl script, they just gain full root access to your system. A lot of people are super concerned this is the end of the world, but keep in mind this is not a remote code exploit vulnerability. So if you are running an unpatched Linux system, you're probably not going to get hacked through this vulnerability unless you run code that you got from a untrustworthy place. As long as you're staying to your distro's repositories that are usually vetted, or something like Flatpak, which is also vetted for the most part, you're probably unlikely to come across any code that is going to be running this exploit on your system. But if you're downloading like random app image files or random packages from the AUR that could be malware, this would be a vulnerability that would allow that malware to get root access to your system. That said, this still is really bad because there's other types of environments that allow arbitrary code execution. And in those environments, and I'm thinking stuff like CI environments, for example, this paired with the already proven Kubernetes container escape could be bad for something like CI, for example. Even then, this was just over a week ago. But yesterday, we had the dirty Frag Linux vulnerability. So this is another local privilege escalation vulnerability. And while copy fail targets a part of the Linux kernel related to cryptography, this dirty Frag attack exploits kernel networking and the memory fragment handling components. So this notes, rather than relying on narrow timing windows or unstable corruption conditions often associated with Linux local privilege escalation exploits, dirty Frag appears designed to increase consistency across vulnerable environments. And so just like copy fail, you probably aren't affected if you're not running unsafe code, but as this Microsoft write-up points out, this is terrible for servers with compromised SSH accounts or web shell access on internet-facing applications such as like internet IDEs or container escapes into the host environment, and post-exploitation activity following phishing or remote access compromise. So as with the other one, your system already has to be somewhat compromised in order for this to actually affect you. But just having two exploits like this, and exploits like this are pretty rare, having two in 1 week, what the fuck? And then now we're leaving the Linux space for a second, because for those who don't know, I'm a college student at Wazoo, and yesterday I was trying to study for my last exam of my finals week, which is my accounting exam, just for me to try and go on Canvas, which for those who don't know, it's basically, I don't want to show my own Canvas because I don't want to dox myself on accident, but you have all your classes and this is where your assignments for your college are going to end up. So it's like all of your assignments, your grade book, a calendar with when all of your assignments are due. It's all of that in one place. I actually like Canvas a lot. It works pretty well. But yeah, that said, when I was trying to study for my accounting final, Canvas completely went down, and it actually went down twice this week. I am unsure if the first time it went down on Tuesday is related to this hack. This Thursday, May 7th, deep in the thrones of finals week, students at the University of Pennsylvania, Virginia Tech, Duke, and elsewhere, also my school, Washington State University, and I know a few people who go to University of Washington who are also affected. So it isn't just these schools, it's any school that is using Canvas, which, as far as my understanding, Canvas is the most popular learning system for universities. So that's a lot of different colleges and even high schools. They got hacked by a ransomware group called Shiny Hunters, which also has in the past has hacked Snowflake, Salesforce, ADL. They're just on a roll of hacking, I guess. And I wish this article had the message. Let me find the message. Here it is. Shiny Hunters has breached Instructure again. That's the parent company of Canvas. Instead of contacting us to resolve it, they ignored us and did some quote-unquote security patches. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, them putting that in quotes is hilarious, but if any of the schools in the affected list are interested in preventing the release of their data, please consult with a cyber advisory firm and contact us privately at Talks, which is a private messaging app, to negotiate a settlement. You have till the end of the day by May 12th, 2026 before everything is leaked. Now, I do not know if the Shiny Hunters Canvas hack is an AI-assisted hack, but we have been seeing a rise in just a lot of different AI-assisted hacks. Is people have been using AI jailbreak techniques in order to get AI models to help them hack things. So according to this article from the Hacker News, throughout the year, several measures of cybercrime frequency and severity approximately doubled. Instances of malicious packages discovered on public repos increased by 75%, cloud intrusions by 35%, and AI-generated phishing began outperforming human red teams entirely. However, this article notes that these hacks have been going from being giant hacking groups and even government-backed hacking groups and things like that over to more younger, like teenagers, for example. So this article notes in February 2025, 3 teenagers aged 14, 15, and 16 with no coding background used ChatGPT to build a tool that hit Rakuten's mobile system 220,000 times, spending their proceeds on gaming consoles and online gambling. In July 2025, a single actor using Claude Code conducted an extortion campaign targeting 17 organizations over the course of 1 month, using agentic AI to develop malicious code, organize stolen files, analyze financial records to calibrate demands, and draft extortion emails. In December 2025, another individual used Claude Code and ChatGPT to breach the Mexican government, targeting more than 10 agencies and stealing over 195 million taxpayer records. Now, this article also notes this is 2025 data. I'd imagine that this is even lower with current AI models of 2026, but this graph right here shows the average time to a working exploit to be more than 2 years. Is that more than 2 years? Almost 2 years. Now it is just over a month with 44 days. So what can we do about all of this? Well, I will say Project Glasswing from Anthropic is a good start. I think it's really smart to have this AI be able to actually patch exploits before the public is able to use the AI to generate the same exploits, as long as Anthropic actually makes sure that Mythos is actually secured so that only people who need it for their cybersecurity can get it, and not randoms who are going to be able to find a way to get Mythos and then some random teenager uses it to, I don't know, hack Linux or something. So this is a good start, but honestly, I don't really have any other solution to this problem. I'm just a concerned individual because of all of the things I've seen this month through having to patch stillOS already for copy fail, and I'm going to have to patch stillOS when there's actually patches for dirty frag. And then also, like I said, Canvas getting hacked during my finals. This is starting to affect me on a personal level. I canceled plans with my friends to patch copy fail on stillOS. But I also just wanted to start a discussion. Let me know if you guys think I'm overreacting and being a fearmongerer, but I just haven't seen so much crazy vulnerabilities and hacks happen in the span of 30 days like this. And with that, I'll have some other video here. I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna put. You can subscribe up here, and you can support a broke college student on Patreon if you want to help pay for my work. With all that being said, I'll see you guys next time.